One of the great things I think about SUISS is it's more than just a school.
The summer schools seem to embody some of the values of what I thought universities were for, and which had got rather lost.
It's not just sort of about the studies themselves, but that kind of social intercourse where people can actually learn from each other, and you don't always do that.
It's hard to describe SUISS to people who have never been here. The summer school is a community. It's a community of literature lovers who come from all over the world to take part in everything that Edinburgh, the literary city, has to offer.
You know, SUISS was created after the Second World War by the great historian David Deutsches, and like the Edinburgh Festival, it was one of these institutions that was created in the aftermath of the war in an attempt to bring people together through culture and through learning and through education.
Primarily, I think what it was originally set up for, the bringing together of people from really all over the world, well, to learn about Scottish, British things, but also to meet one another and be engaged in a sort of cross-fertilization, a meeting, an exchange of minds, all of that sort of thing.
It has always changed. It's changed with the Dean. Just think we've had deans of the quality of David Deutsches in the past. It changes with the financial conditions, with the other universities in Scotland who join us. And now, of course, at a time when Scottish nationalism and our relationship with the European Union is a hot topic, SUISS is likely to change again.
It probably has changed in different ways. It's grown a lot. It recruits students from probably more and more countries every year, but it also retains its own unique ethos. I think it's always been to me a very, very friendly place, a very open place, academic, well organised, all of that, but there's just the slightest element of chaos in it as well, very sort of controlled chaos, if that makes sense. And I think that's what makes it so dynamic and exciting for people.
My favourite SUISS memories kind of all revolve around the end of course talent shows.
The farewell events at the close of every course are really spectacular and special. It's those moments where everyone comes together and kind of celebrates our time together.
They were just always such a nice moment because doing creative writing, I was able to see my students get up and perform poems and stories that they had written in my classes, and to see them get amazing feedback from their fellow students was really, really pleasing. But then there were also lots of shenanigans with whipped cream one year and people dressing up in cling film and people going down to the costume shops in Edinburgh and buying all of the wigs.
And we have this explosion of happiness when students and staff perform together for the enjoyment of others, really a time when everyone is able to come together and enjoy themselves.
There's always tears and there's always hugs and there are photos taken, and it's one of those moments where suddenly you realize that you've bonded with people in a special way and you may never get to see them again.
And after spending so much time with them all day, every day for 6 weeks, you know, I started to get to know them a lot better, and they were such interesting and dynamic and diverse people.
Friendships are forged at the summer school that last for many, many years. I have students get in touch with me who were here in the 70s, and they tell me stories about the time that they spent here and what it meant to them and how it changed their lives.
I remember in 1982, the school was small enough that we could get almost all of it into 2 minibuses, and on one occasion, it was a beautiful summer night, we just took them to the beach. And on the way back, we'd stopped at the bottom of Hanover Street, I think, if I remember rightly. And a full moon was rising behind the castle, and my entire minibus just broke into spontaneous applause. Naturally, the moon and the castle took a bow and then resumed their positions in the sky. But it was a lovely moment. It was quite spontaneous. It was just people just so thrilled to be in such an amazing city.
As a Glaswegian, I am honour bound never to say anything polite about Edinburgh. I can just about bring myself to say that it is surely one of the world's most beautiful cities. It goes beyond the castle, it goes into quiet garden spaces, as well as into markedly Scottish communities, ceilidh dancing, bagpipes, all that kind of thing. And the combination of that sense of being a capital city and having the world's largest arts festival here every year is a wonderful and a unique combination.
But just being in the city itself, which is so rich with the kind of history and inspiration that feeds a creative mind, has made this experience unlike any other creative experience I've had in my life.
Hearing working authors, published authors do readings in small groups, teaching us master classes, and it was exciting to have them talk to us and work with us as though we were equals, even though we hadn't published anything yet. We were just getting our feet wet in the whole process.
I wish I had known about SUISS before. I wish I had known about SUISS when I was a student. I would have loved to have been a student here.
The summer school is a life-changing experience for everyone who becomes involved with it.
My fondest memory this year was when one of my students asked me whether we could skip lunch and have longer classes, which was probably the best validation I've ever had as a teacher.
My students at the end of the term presented me with the gift of fudge, and I don't think that I've ever had students who express appreciation for my teaching in that way.
At the end of summer, I've always been richer than before, this is for sure. And now that I work in other summer schools, everything I do, I still go back to SUISS.
It was more challenging than most of my other teaching to that date, but also really dynamic because of it. I think the student interactions at cultural events and academic stuff is really good to see them engaging, and that's those sort of light bulb moments are very rewarding.
My highlights of the school have been those moments when different cohorts of students come together and understand each other in different ways and open up to each other's humanity. As I say, most of the academics that get involved with SUISS really do it because we love it and we're committed to it. So over the years we have established a strong network of colleagues across the world that we can rely on to send us students. The actual experience of taking part in the school itself is an enlightening one in many ways.
You don't have many chances to teach a global classroom or understand that. So I'm getting a sense of the world. It's like being on Star Trek. Basically, everyone from every walk of life is here.
I mean, there's all sorts of memories over the years. I received an email from an American couple. They had been here in 1973 and they met each other and they got married shortly after. And they were returning to Edinburgh for the first time and they wanted to come see the SUISS office and they wanted to find their old applications, which we had. And at that point I hadn't been through a summer school yet, so I didn't really understand the magnitude of the SUISS community and what that meant to a lot of people, and I think that really solidified that for me.
Two Czech women who had been helped by the university in 1968 at the time of the Prague Spring. They'd taken refuge here and had lots of good things done for them by the people of Edinburgh, by the University of Edinburgh. They were provided with accommodation, tuition and so on. So as a sort of thank offering, they decided to set up a fund to produce scholarships for people coming from the Czech Republic or Slovakia. And at the same time, it created a whole new sort of social world in Edinburgh of all the Czech expatriates, people who'd married Scottish citizens and so on, getting together for garden parties and get wine tastings, lectures and things like that. So it had another social function which sprang out of the summer school.
It was really, really heartwarming to see people get together and offer hope to everyone that people can actually get along wherever they come from and whatever their differences.
And it's been so wonderful to sit in the lectures, to talk about novels, real novels, not novels that I teach my own students. The discussions have been wonderful, the lectures have been so stimulating, and it's been wonderful to socialize with people from other countries, from different ages, so it's been such a wonderful experience and I'm very grateful.
We still have people signing up to work with and interact with individuals from a massively diverse range of backgrounds, countries, interested in other people in other places rather than narrow nationalistic boundaries.
I don't think it's naive to suggest that individuals coming together and working and studying together can have positive long-term effects for the peace of the world.
I can imagine a world without SUISS, but it would be an impoverished world. We'd be losing something small but something very important if we weren't to have SUISS.
One of the outstanding features of SUISS is that in this present climate of, monetizing education and turning it into a business, it still has a very generous scholarship scheme. And it has a commitment to offering scholarships to students that wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity really to come to Edinburgh and attend a school like SUISS.
The summer school works in partnership with a lot of Scottish organisations, and we're extremely lucky to have their support, and we owe them a great deal of gratitude. Going forward, what the summer school really needs is involvement from the Scottish academic community and even the wider UK academic community. Our amazing tutors, our incredibly generous lecturers who return each summer and donate their fees to the scholarship program. That's how we promote tolerance. That's how the summer school ensures its diversity. And we're very, very lucky that we're able to offer about 80% of the students who attend the summer school financial aid.
It brings together people from across the world and puts them into an environment where they basically have to work to get on with each other. It forms relationships that last for the rest of their lives.